Friends, welcome. Chasing History, Stories Behind Lost Legends has a gift for finding the stories we collectively agreed to look away from and then looking directly at them anyway. In the dimly lit confines of a sterile laboratory, you find yourself strapped to a chair, your heart racing in uncertainty. Unbeknownst to you, you are an unwitting participant in the CIA's clandestine MKUltra program, a dark initiative that sought to unlock the secrets of the human mind through ruthless experimentation. As the cold needle pierces your skin, delivering a potent dose of LSD, reality slips away, replaced by a kaleidoscope of nightmarish visions. Shadows dance around you, whispering secrets you can't grasp, while the scientists observed from the shadows, their eyes gleaming with the promise of control. In that moment, you became a pawn in a sinister game, caught in the crosshairs of ambition and madness, as the boundaries of ethics blurred into oblivion. The MK Ultra program, often shrouded in secrecy and conspiracy, represents one of the most controversial and chilling chapters in the history of U.S. intelligence. Origins of MK Ultra. Project MK Ultra kicked off in April 1953, a brainchild of CIA Director Allen Dulles, who, in a fit of Cold War paranoia, decided that if the Soviets and Chinese were playing mind games during the Korean War, the U.S. might as well join the fun. Organizing the whole shebang was the CIA's Office of Scientific Intelligence, which fancied itself as the nation's mad scientist lab. Their mission? To whip up some covert mind control and interrogation techniques that would make even the most committed conspiracy theorist raise an eyebrow. Key players: Dr. Sidney Gottlieb. The visionary chemist Sidney Gottlieb was the CIA's master magician and gentle-hearted torturer, a true poisoner-in-chief. As the ringmaster of the MK Ultra mind control project, he orchestrated brutal experiments from the shadows of secret prisons scattered across 3 continents. With the flair of a sinister alchemist, he concocted pills, powders, and potions designed to kill or maim without leaving a trace. Some even aimed at foreign leaders like Fidel Castro. In a plot twist worthy of a spy novel, he even employed prostitutes to lure unsuspecting clients into CIA-run bordellos, where they unwittingly became subjects of mind-altering drug tests. Richard Helms. In 1953, while serving as Assistant Deputy Director for Plans, Richard Helms laid the groundwork for a special funding mechanism to support sensitive research into the murky realms of biological and chemical materials used to alter human behavior. As Helms ascended the ranks of the CIA, he became a key sponsor of these ethically questionable endeavors, granting Sidney Gottlieb, the head of MK Ultra, the kind of top-level approval that felt more like a license to kill than a research mandate, allowing Gottlieb to operate with minimal oversight in his quest to crack the code of the human mind. Dr. D. Ewan Cameron. Dr. D. Ewan Cameron, a prominent psychiatrist with a flair for the ethically questionable, was recruited by the CIA for Project MKUltra's Subproject 68 between 1957 and 1964. Stationed in Montreal, he became the agency's go-to guru for mind control, employing a range of unethical psychic driving techniques that read more like a horror movie script than legitimate psychiatric practice. His toolkit included LSD, sensory deprivation, and intensive electroconvulsive therapy, all administered to unwitting patients who thought they were receiving treatment, not becoming unwitting subjects in a dark psychological experiment. Cameron's experiments aimed to depattern patients, essentially wiping their memories clean like a chalkboard before replacing them with new driven patterns. George Hunter White. George Hunter White was no ordinary Federal Bureau of Narcotics (FBN) agent. He was an undercover CIA operative who took center stage in the sordid theater of Project MKUltra, particularly in its infamous sub-project, Operation Midnight Climax. Operating under the cheeky pseudonym Morgan Hall, White worked directly under CIA chemist Sidney Gottlieb, diving headfirst into a world where ethics took a back seat to experimentation. His mission? To test the effects of LSD and other mind-altering substances on unsuspecting, unwitting American citizens. Picture this: clandestine bordellos in San Francisco, where White would serve drinks laced with drugs, all while observing the chaos unfold from behind a two-way mirror. For him, it was a twisted blend of science and voyeurism, as he watched the bewildered subjects spiral into altered states of consciousness. In the name of national security, White turned the streets into a playground for psychological experimentation. Methods of mind control. MKUltra's approach to mind control was diverse and often unethical. Here are some key methods employed. LSD experiments. Blasting away the existing mind was the audacious mantra of MKUltra's director, Sidney Gottlieb, who theorized that high doses of LSD could effectively wipe a subject's memory and personality clean. The idea was to create a blank slate, a void into which a new mind or personality could be implanted, as if the human psyche were nothing more than a computer hard drive ready for reformatting. In the early 1950s, Gottlieb orchestrated a jaw-dropping acquisition, arranging for the CIA to cough up $240,000 to purchase the entire global supply of LSD. In a chilling twist, the CIA secretly administered LSD to thousands of individuals without their knowledge or consent, blatantly flouting the Nuremberg Code, which established ethical standards for medical experimentation. The unwitting subjects of these experiments included a disturbing mix of CIA employees, military personnel, doctors, psychiatric patients, prisoners, drug addicts, and ordinary citizens, all caught in the crosshairs of a grand, unethical experiment. James Joseph Whitey Bulger was the boss of the largely Irish mob in Boston from the 1970s through the 1990s. He found himself volunteering for what he believed was a noble experiment aimed at finding a cure for schizophrenia while he was incarcerated. For over a year, he was dosed with LSD daily, all under the guise of research. It soon dawned on him that this had nothing to do with curing mental illness. Reflecting on his harrowing experiences, Bulger described them as nothing short of horrific. He grappled with the feeling of losing his sanity, an ordeal that pushed him to the brink. In his words, "I was in prison for committing a crime, but they committed a greater crime on me." Hypnosis. In the early 1950s, the CIA launched Project Artichoke, a covert operation aimed at developing more effective interrogation techniques during a time of heightened Cold War tensions. Among the various methods explored, the use of sodium pentothal, commonly known as a truth serum, and hypnosis played significant roles in the agency's quest for information. Sodium pentothal was employed to lower inhibitions and encourage subjects to divulge sensitive information. The idea was that by reducing resistance, interrogators could extract confessions or insights that might otherwise remain hidden. In addition to sodium pentothal, the project also delved into the use of hypnosis. Researchers believed that hypnosis could enhance suggestibility, making individuals more amenable to interrogation techniques. Sensory deprivation. Sensory deprivation was a central component of Project MKUltra, employed as a coercive technique aimed at breaking down a subject's mental state and inducing dependency. Often combined with drugs in isolation, This method involved blocking sight, sound, and touch to create extreme psychological vulnerability, making individuals more susceptible to interrogation or mind control experiments. Subjects were often isolated for extended periods to remove external stimuli. This isolation frequently coincided with forced drug-induced sleep or hallucinations, amplifying the psychological effects of sensory deprivation. Researchers, notably Dr. Ewan Cameron during the Montreal experiments, used methods to cover patients' eyes, ears, and skin. By removing sensory input, they aimed to induce disorientation and confusion. Depatterning was part of a broader protocol intended to dismantle existing thought patterns. Psychic driving involved compelling patients to listen repeatedly to taped messages. These patients, immobilized and sedated, often underwent this procedure for up to 16 hours daily. The messages could be played hundreds of thousands of times. Usually, a patient endured 10 days of negative messages, which often targeted a perceived personality flaw, followed by another 10 days of positive messages. Sensory deprivation was further intensified in sleep rooms, where patients were subjected to drug-induced comas using substances like thorazine and LSD. Some were kept in these conditions for days, or even up to 86 days, stripping them of autonomy and mental clarity. Psychological torture. A notable aspect of the MKUltra documents is the deliberate ignorance shown by CIA agents and doctors concerning their techniques and effects. These methods were later employed in future operations, particularly after 9/11. For example, professionals justified waterboarding as a form of periodic relief for prisoners, depicting it as a necessary break from continuous standing and sleep deprivation. The documents further detail a prisoner who, after being subjected to waterboarding, exhibited extreme distress, crying, begging for mercy, and even requiring medical resuscitation. Remarkably, CIA doctors labeled this individual as amazingly resistant to the waterboard, showcasing a disturbing tendency to downplay the severity of the situation and the trauma experienced by those involved. In another instance, when a prisoner was confined in a coffin-sized box, CIA doctors characterized this confinement as a relatively benign sanctuary compared to other forms of torture. Incredibly, the CIA concluded that their torture program was reassuringly free of enduring physical or psychological effects. The weaponization of mind control. The ultimate goal of MKUltra was to develop techniques that could be weaponized against enemies. The CIA envisioned a future where mind control could be used to create sleeper agents, manipulate foreign leaders, or extract information from captured personnel. This ambition raised significant ethical concerns. The long-term effects of the experiments conducted under Project MKUltra were profound and often devastating, leaving subjects grappling with severe psychological and physiological consequences. Subjects often reported enduring emotional distress, including anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. The experiences of sensory deprivation, isolation, and coercive techniques contributed to a lasting sense of fear and instability. The use of drugs in experiments frequently led to dependency issues. Many subjects struggled with addiction to substances that were administered during the studies, compounding their psychological burdens. Long-term mental health problems, such as dissociative disorders and severe mood swings, were common among participants. The intense psychological manipulation and trauma inflicted during the experiments often disrupted their ability to function in everyday life. Public revelation and fallout. The dark secrets of Project MKUltra came to light during congressional hearings in the 1970s, igniting widespread outrage across the nation. These hearings, led by the Church Committee, aimed to investigate abuses within the CIA and other intelligence agencies. As details of the unethical experiments emerged, the public was horrified to learn about the extent of the psychological and physical harm inflicted on unwitting subjects. The exposure of MKUltra had far-reaching implications, significantly contributing to a growing distrust of the government. Many citizens became increasingly wary of operations that infringed upon personal freedoms and civil liberties. The revelations raised critical questions about ethical standards in governmental programs and the accountability of intelligence agencies. Congress approved legislation to provide for greater checks and balances of the intelligence community. In 1976, the Senate approved Senate Resolution 400, establishing the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence to provide vigilant legislative oversight over the intelligence agencies. Final thoughts. The legacy of MKUltra serves as a stark reminder of the lengths to which governments may go in the name of national security. While the program was officially halted, its ethical implications continue to prompt discussions about the intersection of science, morality, and power. As we explore the boundaries of psychological research and the potential for manipulation, it is crucial to uphold ethical standards and protect individual rights. Until next time, keep reading and stay caffeinated. For those wanting to explore more on this topic, I invite you to check out the following books linked in the description. Poisoner in Chief by Stephen Kinzer. During his 22 years at the CIA, Gottlieb worked in the deepest secrecy. Only since his death has it become possible to piece together his astonishing career at the intersection of extreme science and covert action. Poisoner in Chief reveals him as a clandestine conjurer on an epic scale, available on Amazon. The Devil's Chessboard by David Talbot, Alan Dulles, The CIA, and the Rise of America's Secret Government. An expose of American power and its abuse that is as disturbing as it is timely. The Devil's Chessboard is a provocative and gripping story of the rise of the national security state. And The Battle for America's Soul, available on Amazon. If you're looking for your next favorite read, I invite you to check out my series, The Raven Society. This spellbinding historical fantasy series takes us on a heart-pounding journey through forgotten legends and distorted history. Uncover the chilling secrets of mythology and confront the horrifying truths that transformed myths into monstrous realities. How far will you go to learn the truth? The Writer and the Librarian, Book 1, available now on Amazon.